Okay, so to begin this texturing process, you are going to start in with the making like the normal map, so displacement map, uh, etc. And this is kind of going to be the base of the texture. Now, a lot of the textures are probably just going to be like one color or a color gradient or something like that. Um, so this is obviously just going to be more for like the complex textures. It's like for like bricks on a building, for example. That's what I'm gonna do here. Uh, and so this is just like a pixel art website I found online. That's free. I'll have a link and things. But like, if I wanted a brick texture, oops. Oh, wrong color. Gonna, I don't know, this color. Just have straight lines. Now, you're either gonna want to have this really scaled out or tileable. So like, it connects with this side, just so it could be repeated without there being any lines in the way. And let's do like one line here, line here, and on this side, there, there, there. Um, yeah, I mean that looks like bricks. There's also layers. Should be able to, there we go, add layer. Duh. So like, that's the background. Um, I don't know, and then take like the paintbrush and add just some, oh, sorry, this to be up front. Add some shading, make it a little bigger. Brush size. Yeah, I don't know. This is, just make it look nice, I guess. Okay, so like here I made a brick texture. Now if just export as like a PNG, there we go. Now I am going to go to this website. I will also have a link to this. It is basically a website where you could select a file, click this, put it in, and it will basically like here it turns this into a normal map. You can get specular, ambient, I mean, yeah. And it kind of just shows an example on the side. I think it just shows the example of the normal map, but yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like a brick. So, perfect. That's what I want. So I am going to download normal, and then honestly, this might honestly just work on its own, but I will also download a displacement in case. And yeah, we're gonna bring that into Unreal, which will be the next part. Okay, so your guys' stuff is gonna be like your models are gonna be in the fork and then like raw content, and you're gonna select your model and bring it in. Mine is just in a separate spot because this is just gonna kind of like a test. So okay, so in here, I just did like a testing world because it'll just load faster because we don't have a ton of stuff in here and my laptop is pretty old and doesn't run great. So but I've made sure to add the files. So, like you're gonna see like a file called make content. You'll click on that. In that there's gonna be textured models, and then you're gonna go to the models folder, and then bring in that. Now some options are gonna appear. You're gonna want to click build now night. And it should appear like this, and you're gonna have to click the little arrow that says advanced on mesh, and then make sure combine meshes is clicked. I think by default it's false, so make sure this is true. Otherwise, if you say exported a mesh with multiple pieces, they will all uh, import as separate models instead of together, which would not work. And also make sure in the material section it says do not create material, because by default I think it creates new ones. So make sure it does not create ones. And then import. Ignore this. It'll kind of just come up. And now if I click on this, we have the house. Just gonna this here. So we just have a house model, and it's going to have all the texture slots like you see. If you named your materials, which I recommend you do in Maya when you export, they're going to see the name here if you hold over the slot. It's like glass, brown, base, tan, kind of just what I named them for the colors and stuff. So for a material, oh, ignore that. I'm going in the texture models folder. It's gonna be normal maps. Just gonna delete this one. Force delete. Here we go. And in the like last section, we should have made some. If I go to downloads, yep. So I'm gonna name this folder something else. I'll just name it like texture maps or something like that. But you're gonna bring in. I'm just gonna bring them all in, but you should only bring in what you need, just so we don't take up too much space on the repo. This one is delete rock. There we go. So I have these. And then in materials, also gonna delete these. Going to create a new material, and I'm gonna name it M underscore. Let's just do bricks. And then you're going to right click this material and do create material instance and name it MI for material instance underscore bricks. And then we are gonna go into the material. And I will explain the material instance after. So here we have a base material. If we want to add a base color, of course. So you're going to hold 3 and then left click, and it's going to bring in this node, which is basically just a color node. If you double click here, you get a color picker. So I'm just going to do, I don't know, red's fine. Why is it weird looking? I don't know, I'll just pick that. There we go. You have a pink, and on here, it's gonna go here. Now if I go in the house, let's see where it is. Base, okay. You are going to apply the material instance, not the material. Is this the base? No, that's not the base. My bad. Base. There we go. And make sure you click apply on the material. And it will load. And it will load. Come on, there we go. Now on the house. Okay, that's not where I wanted it, but it's fine. This is why you name your stuff, otherwise this happens and you're testing every single one. There we go. So I'm just gonna, there we go. So here's where like I would want the bricks, for example. Now obviously on this house, there's not really gonna be bricks, but this is just kind of showing you guys how to do things. Like I said before, most of your materials are just gonna be colors, with maybe, I don't know, let's say, bring in the normal map, connect it into normal. Apply. Take a moment. Come on. There we go. Now, obviously, it's very scaled up. So this is why you either want to make it very, like when you're drawing it, you want to make it scaled out, or you could right click and search text. Oops. I think it's, or wait, yeah. Texture coordinate. There we go. Bring that in. Connect it to the UVs up here. Then you are going to click on this node, and in the left here, there's going to be tiling. So I'm going to say, let's do like 50 for these. No, that's not what I want. There we go. And as you can see, it's scaled out. Hit apply. it'll take a moment. There we go. And if we go here, you can see, there we go. It has a brick texture. Now, there's obviously a lot more we could do with this. Um, Now, these look pretty shiny, I feel like, for bricks. So I'm going to click, if you hold 1 and then left click, you're going to get a value. And then this value, I don't know, let's add it to specular. And the value is 0, so it's going to take away the specular. Oops. Now you're probably going to want a little bit of specular. But as default, I'll do 0. And one thing you could do with a lot of these things is convert it to a parameter. And I'm going to name it specular. And apply. And it's going to take its sweet time. And then when I go here, oops, and if I go to the materials and I click on the material instance, in here you can see I have parameters that I could change how I want. So I don't know, I don't want this too shiny. I feel like I do want a little bit of shine. And this will change on the house. So if I do this, and you can see it change here. Now the reason you could think of material instances like a child to the parent of the material, but this kind of helps save a lot of space, and you can make edits to individual things. Like if I had another building and I say I wanted them shinier, I could change that and make another material instance and kind of edit the settings. Here, it's just, I don't know, just make sure you apply material instances. It saves space and whatnot. And they're easy to edit. So yeah, we have the specular. Now, let's say I wanted more than one color. So I'm gonna hold 3 again, left click. Let's do a, I don't know, let's do a red. Uh, I'll do a little bit more orangey just so it's not the same tones, and you can see a better difference. Okay, and you are gonna click lerp, or search lerp, and what it's really called is linear interpolate. But if you do lerp, it'll come up and it's fine. So then I'm going to connect this into A, connect this into B, and then this is going to go into the base color instead. And right now, you're going to see it change to orange. And we don't, I mean, this could be useful in some instances, but not for this one. But as you can see, if I do like 0.1, or if I do 0, it's pink. If I do 1, it's going to be all orange. And then 0.5 is a mix between the two. So that's just something, that's just kind of how that works, is it kind of combines them, and then the value of 0 between 0s and 1 kind of changes that. But we want this to be a gradient. So you're going to search gradient, or actually linear gradient, and you're going to want this. And you are also going to select a multiply. That's not what I want, my bad. Multiply, and we are going to use the V, because that'll do top and bottom. The U will do like left to right, or yeah. And then we are gonna get another value by holding 1, left click, and insert into this B. Now I'm gonna want to turn this into a parameter, so convert to parameter, and I'm gonna call this gradient. And then I'm gonna connect this to alpha. Do I connect it to alpha? I don't know. So if I do 0.5, there we go, yeah. So you do connect to alpha, and you can see the gradient. I'm just having some, this is from my laptop having texture issues, so ignore that. But as you can see, there's a gradient. If I hit apply, it'll take a moment. If I go to the house, you can see it's a gradient from the orange to um pink. And as you can see, I messed up on the UV mapping where this section of the house is upside down. So that's why up here you see the orange and down here is more the pink. So that's something I'll have to go into Maya and fix later. Uh, and yeah, it's just kind of a back and forth thing you're gonna have to do. And in here, if I take this, oops, I have the gradient right here. I could change it however I like. As you can see, the higher you go, it kind of goes into yellow. Lower you go, yeah. Usually it's between 0 and 1 for that, and then it starts changing colors. But yeah, that's kind of the gradient bit. And then let's say you wanted to add more. So I'm just gonna organize this. I'm gonna add another color. Let's do a blue, just so you can see the difference. And then I'm going to go to content drawer, my maps, and I'm going to get displacement. And if I do alert, and then I connect this up here, the middle color to A, and then this one into B. See, we have two lerps here. You're gonna want to make another lerp and insert this lerp into this lerp. So it's just kind of like, I think of it like a little pyramid going into the base color. As you can see, there's kind of some blue tones now. And then you are going to take this right here and add it to the alpha. And now it's gone. And one thing you are going to have to do is this texture coordinate, you're going to want to make sure it's matching. So basically any textures you're using should all be the same size. Oh, okay, and I'm going to disconnect this guy. Okay, yeah, so you can see this is a lot lighter. And it will load. Yeah, very light. And if I click the material instance, and I could change the gradient again. Now, one thing keep in mind, so like that one is a little dark, so I might use this one instead. And delete this. Add this in. Alpha. And there we go, it's a little darker. But you can still see the texture. Now, editing the color. Yellow. You can see it kind of makes like the darker parts stand out more depending on where you go. So yeah, you could kind of mess with that, make it how you like. You could also just do this without the gradient. Like you don't have to have a gradient. Mess with the textures. You could add this back in if you want. Oh, make sure it's the same. There we go. Like, kind of just mess with things. See how you like it. And that's kind of just like the basics of making materials. But just kind of have fun with it. There's also a lot of resources online you can look at. And those will help